Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged. That's my guy.
Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Guilty as Charged podcast. My name is Steven, and I am the host. And we are flushing Week 7 performance against the Indianapolis Colts this week. We are not doing a film review, although I did watch, and yes, it was painful. So we are jumping right into our Week 8 preview. We might have some minor takes here and there about the previous game, but we'll see how it goes. Joining me to do that is my good friend, Tyler. Tyler, what's up, man? How are you doing tonight?
Didn't we just cover a game, man? Like, what the heck? I feel like I was just on here reacting to the game, and that feels like a day later. I'm here previewing the game that's in 2 days. So, yeah, I'm doing well. It feels a bit like whiplash, but all good. I think the vibes are lukewarm around the team right now, so could use a little boost for the win on Thursday.
Lukewarm? You think they're lukewarm?
I would say they're okay. Okay, with this in mind. Okay, chat, are the Chargers going to win this game or not? I think it's probably 50-50.
Sure.
There's a loud section of social media that definitely wants everybody fired. But I think it's in the end, it's an average of lukewarm.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I had one particular tweet from the game. Of all of the tweets I possibly could have tweeted out that could have gone viral of a film clip, I never would have thought that it would be a kickoff return that the Chargers allowed. That got me almost 500,000 views right now, and people are fire Fickett and fire Hortiz and fire Harbaugh and cut Thule and bring back Caleb Murphy. Like, I have never had a tweet go that viral for negative energy, and it was a kickoff return. And so it was, I don't know, man. Maybe I've just been on social media a little bit too much this week, but yeah. The vibes within the fan base are very negative, I would say.
I completely missed that. So I guess I'm glad to have just been in la la land doing anything else but looking at that. I saw that you'd posted that, but I never would have, in a million years guessed that was the viral clip. Do you want to talk about the Chargers losing Caleb Murphy and how that put guys into situations? Like, it's the stupidest thing to spend airtime on. It's just a small potential microcosm of some roster building concerns overall, because Caleb Murphy was not some crazy impact defensive player. They traded for Owe because they needed an actual more like sustainable pass rusher this year and potentially next year. So it's not like Caleb Murphy was going to be sorely missed on defense, but it sucks that they, 1, lose him, 2, retain Dupree and Kennard, who have done nothing for you on defense and do nothing for you on special teams, and 3, lose Murphy to the Patriots. So you cut him. You have players that aren't playing special teams and are basically giving you less than Murphy on defense still on the team. Thule now has to play the most special team snaps he's played in several weeks. I believe it's the most snaps he's played all year. You pointed out that he was on kickoff coverage. Everyone's like, "Oh, Thule sucks." Dude, Thule just played defense or like whatever. He just played whatever. He's playing a whole series of defensive snaps as the starter and then playing the most special team snaps all year. Like, sorry, and he's done for the first time. You said was kick coverage for him. So, what did people expect? So, is it going to change? Is it going to lose them a Super Bowl? No, but I was like, this is the Rocket Sanders for me. Why did you cut Caleb Murphy so you could retain Bud Dupree and so you could retain? You're not cutting Kennard, I get that, but Dupree is literally doing nothing for you.
Yeah,
there was one rush while I was watching it live where I went, this might be a thing. And it wasn't. I mean, it was basically nothing. Bud Dupree has basically been every Star Wars movie announced over the last 7 years, which is that, oh, maybe that's interesting. Nothing comes of it. We haven't had a Star Wars movie since 2019. It's just, it's frustrating, even though it really doesn't mean a lot.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit that just tweaks me the wrong way.
Yeah, it does. And I think, part of this is the Caleb Murphy aspect of it, where this is a guy who has really become, one of their 2 or 3 best and most effective special teams players. And granted, like you said, he hasn't been doing a ton on defense. His pass rush win rate was higher than Bud Dupree's, I can tell you that. And it puts Thule in such a bind now where one of the reasons for me why he has actually taken a step forward is because he is not playing on special teams. He does field goal block. He weirdly likes to play on the punt team. That's fine. He says that helps him like get warmed up, whatever. But last season he logged almost 1,200 snaps if you include special teams and defense. And to me, that was a big reason why he not necessarily like took a step back, but a big reason why he didn't take that next step. Now he's taken that next step. And because you have Bud Dupree, Khalil Mack, and Odafe Owe who don't play special teams, your best pass rusher has to now go play special teams. I don't understand. Like I hate the fact that Thule has to go back out there and be a potential core 4 special teams player while also being their most reliable pass rusher. He's third in the league in, I looked this up. So he's third in the league in total pressures right now. Every other edge rusher in the top 10, the only special teams they play is on field goal block. There's 0 kickoff return, 0 punt coverage, 0 kickoff coverage, anything. Thule now has to go play a core 4 special teams role while also carrying the pass rush, while also being their best run defender. It's just not sustainable for an individual player to continue to do that. They had the guy who was there to do that, and they decided to cut him and risk losing him to waivers. And his former head coach, Mike Vrabel, gladly swoops him up because they needed a special teams edge rusher. Go figure. So it's just really frustrating. We've been very negative on Bud Dupree, and rightfully so. He registered his 4th game of the season on Sunday with 0 pass rush wins on PFF. So there, you're talking about every other game, essentially, he is giving you 0 pass rush wins as an edge rusher, where half of your job is to win as a pass rusher. I don't get it, man. I don't. They don't have Tremont Morris-Brash on the roster who can like come in and play teams anymore. Kennard did not play any special teams in the preseason. So now your best pass rusher has to go play special teams. And everybody quoted my tweet and was like, this is Joe Hortiz's fault. It's not Joe Hortiz's fault. You know who wants Bud Dupree on the roster? Jim Harbaugh. You know who wanted to keep Bud Dupree on the roster so badly? Jim Harbaugh. Like, it's not all Joe Hortiz here, and he's not the one who is constructing the special teams unit either. So it's just a really frustrating small thing. And some people were like, well, Caleb Murphy's like not going to play ever. But it's the process and it's the special teams. And this special teams unit, I know I'm rambling, but the special teams unit has gone under a severe overhaul from last year to this year. And now even Hassan Haskins is hurt. So, the only core 4 special teams player who's still on the roster from last year and healthy right now is Jasir Taylor. Everybody else is gone. Nick Neiman, gone. Shaq Quarterman, gone. Dean Leonard, injured. Hassan Haskins, injured. Tuli Pulotu is now back, but it was Caleb Murphy. Like, it's just very difficult to field a quality special teams unit when you're making these kind of decisions.
No, I completely agree. And I didn't realize Thule even had 7 registered pressures against the Colts on Sunday, which is, I don't know if you feel that those were kind of gimmies or cleanup kind of pressures or if they were true wins, but I didn't notice he had 7. Just going back to your original point, only because I think I know what you're getting at, but I'm not sure. Why do you think it's more Jim Harbaugh that wants Dupree around than Joe Hortiz?
Because I think Jim Harbaugh is very favorable to veterans, and I think he wants the veteran locker room guy around, and he's good for the vibes, and it's the same reason why Bradley Bozeman is back. And
that one, I agree with you 100% on. I have no argument against that one. That's for sure.
To me, that there's no reason why Joe Hortiz would look at that and be like, "Hey, we have Thule, Owe, and Khalil back. Do we need Bud Dupree?" Like, no, I don't think that's a front office decision. I think that's a coaching decision.
Yeah. He's under contract next year due to a nice extension.
Yeah, that is a Hortiz decision. And I do not understand that part at all. So it's just frustrating. Yeah. That is a very critical piece of Joe Hortiz. That being said, I do want to say that Joe Hortiz hate from the last couple of days is out of control.
It's crazy.
There are certainly some things that we can nitpick, you guys, but we went through 11 years of a significantly worse GM. Is Hortiz, the best GM in the world? I don't know. I don't think we have enough information there. But the draft success hits so far with Joe Hortiz are outstanding. You're talking about Joe Alt, Ladd McConkey, Tarheeb Still, Omarion Hampton. These guys are all like legitimately star caliber players. And then you're talking about Trey Harris, Jamari Caldwell, Cam Hart, who are legitimately reliable starting players. And, we haven't seen a ton from, Keandre Lambert-Smith and stuff like that. The 7th round picks are kind of just like throwaways, whatever. But they're doing the draft thing. And there are definitely some questionable free agency moves, but like, look at the value he got from Poona Ford and Christian Fulton and Will Dissly, and this year Tier Tart, or I guess that's kind of a last year thing. Dante Jackson's playing well. There are misses obviously as well, but that's free agency in general. And then he's made 2 draft day trades that have involved trading up for Ladd McConkey and Tarheeb Still, trading up for Oronde Gadsden, who I forgot to mention. He looks like a star caliber player. He's made 4 in-season trades to go get shore up your backup quarterback position last year, as well as getting Elijah Molden for a future 7th round pick. And this year he gets Austin Deculus, which like hasn't been great, but he went and got a swing tackle like we all wanted. And then also he trades for Odafe Oweh. Like, he's doing all of the things we want. It just doesn't look the way that we want it to at times.
Yeah. I think with Joe Hortiz, I don't know what happened so quickly and why it's all completely Joe Hortiz's fault. Now, there is clearly a section of the roster that does feel very, what the heck have you been doing, Joe Hortiz? And that's clearly the offensive line. That's no one will disagree. But even that, because I just said no contest that Jim Harbaugh and Bradley Bozeman, that is initially a signing that makes sense for Joe Hortiz, but the continued pressing of, look, Joe Hortiz did bring in Andre James. He's not going to tell Jim Harbaugh that they should have a competition. So it just feels like with the offensive line, even that is like, well, that is kind of Jim Harbaugh's thing that, he seems to be okay with, because everything else seems like Joe Hortiz is always generally trying to work. So, but I don't know, guys. This guy, look, part of the reason, I think he's been a very good GM overall. How it all plays out in the long term, we just have to wait to see, because we don't know. The only thing we don't know right now is it's been 1 year and 7 games. But I'm looking at 2013, DJ Fluker, Manti Te'o, Keenan Allen, Steve Williams, Torek Williams, Brad Thorson, Jason Verrett, not Telesco's fault. Traded up for Jerry Atauchu, Chris Watt, Ryan Carruthers, Marion Grice, Tevin Reese, Melvin Gordon, Denzel Perryman, Craig Mager, Kyle Emanuel, Darius Philon. Not that you should just compare it to the floor and say, well, we stepped over the bar on the floor, therefore Joe Hortiz is good. Yeah. But I think he deserves a bit of grace here. It's not his fault that Greg Roman is Greg Roman. He didn't hire him. It's not his fault right now that Jesse Minter is on the opposite side of where he was last year, where teams are starting to maybe figure him out. He's not got to swing himself back. He's provided another edge rusher. So look, Hortiz wasn't even a top 5 option for me. So I'm not trying to confirm a bias here. I'm not trying to say I love Joe Hortiz the whole time and I'm trying to defend him. That's what I do for Zion. That's different. For Joe Hortiz, I just simply feel he's done a lot of really good things, and they've just been really effing terrible at generally one section. Yeah. And even that gave us Joe Alt. Granted, if they had picked 6th in the draft, we're having a whole different conversation about
if this is J.C. Latham instead.
Yeah, right. So, granted, I have no idea what's going on with the Titans and their line development, but yeah, we spent a lot of time on Caleb Murphy and Joe Hortiz and all this stuff. But you're right. There's just so much frustration. I didn't realize, but I also did have a viral special teams tweet.
Yeah, I think the overall philosophy of the Ravens is build through the draft and fill in the gaps in free agency. And I think a lot of people wanted them, including us. We wanted them to be more aggressive in free agency. Mm-hmm. But I think that Joe Hortiz has approached this in the same way that the Ravens have done, where their primary resources are going to be through the offensive line. I wish their primary resources are going to be the draft picks, and the draft looks great. Like they've gotten 4 starters in each draft essentially. And we'll see what happens with the kind of the other players here. You know, Eboigbe hasn't looked great, but he's flashing as a pass rusher. We'll see what happens with Kyle Kennard next year. We'll see what happens with Keandre Lambert-Smith next year. So that's how they approach the roster, and I think we can have some disagreements there. And obviously, it sucks that like some of your free agents that you wanted to pay have already been passed by some of the young guys, like Tyler Conklin. Like that money could have been spent elsewhere. But overall, I think you're talking like I would give him probably like a B or a B plus kind of grade as a GM through 2 years, and I think that's pretty fair. And it's been much worse for the Chargers. So I understand the frustrations. We have ranted about the interior offensive line all season long. I get it. I'm right there with you about that particular subject. But calling for a guy's head when they're dealing with these kind of injuries on the offensive line and they're, you know, dealing with the regression on defense, that's not really his fault. Like, you know, how can he predict that Deion Henley and Derwin James can play in a funk like this? It's just not. Yeah, you know, is he an elite GM? No, but calling for his head is crazy talk to me.
Yeah, and ultimately, and this is a Chargers thing overall, not every pick, but if they had stayed on the roster, the picks from the 2022 draft are still on the roster. They are still trying to churn and get through to really what their team ultimately can and will be. So there's some of that too. Joe Hortiz just didn't like, I don't know, okay, I can start from 0 and get all 53 players that are mine and the ones that I want. They're trying to cycle through some of these. So I agree, give it some grace. I really just think in general, all the coaching, 90% of the coaching staff deserves some grace because they're new to the job essentially. Technically, even Jim Harbaugh, in a sense, is. It had been a while since he had been a head coach in the NFL, and I'm sure there are things that change. He's a very old school, certain kind of way guy, and then you've got a whole completely different set of people than he was when he was in, I don't know, just stuff like that. Jesse Minter literally has been coaching the NFL as a defensive coordinator for 25 games. You know, give him some grace. Joe Hortiz, everyone was like, Yahoo, when they signed him. This is a guy that wasn't an assistant GM. He's trying to learn all this too. Yeah. So I think we should give them all some grace, unless your initials are GR and ND. But otherwise, give them some grace.
Yeah, but Mr. Chip points out, you know, they had like $20 million in salary cap space 2 off seasons ago, like literal scraps. And you know, obviously, like I said, I wish they would have been a little bit more aggressive last year, but they had like 40 internal free agents, and you know, you have to take into consideration the amount of players they had to re-sign that Jim Harbaugh wanted to be re-signed. And so, you know, I think next year, if it's still kind of middling results in free agency, you know, we can have that conversation really about like, okay, what does this look like? Is he just a draft guy? You know, is he more in the vein of like what's the Bills GM? Brandon Beane is that kind of who we're talking about here, which is still, you know, a really good GM, but free agency is kind of a mess, but he drafts really well. Or the Colts GM who drafts amazing, but free agency is kind of a mess. So I think we just kind of have to wait and see for more data when it comes to free agency. So I understand they had $92 million in free agency. They spent on Mekhi Becton, and it's been a bit of a mixed bag. And I'll give you that. And they had so many other needs that they had to fill. So I understand that there are definitely some criticisms. I'm right there with you guys, but saying this guy should be fired when we're in week 8 is a little out there for me.
Yeah, and with every firing comes the next question. Okay, who's the other guy you bring in? And is it a Chad Alexander elevation? I don't know. You can't guarantee me that that's the person that solves everything. It's not like the Jets are great right now. I mean, they're dealing with their own turnover of the regime, and they look like not very good. Sorry, Arjun. I will fly you home for Christmas, and we can hang out or something because that's a hot mess there.
Yeah,
give it some time. Give him some grace. It gives the whole team, I think, for the most part, grace. There's a lot of guys still trying to figure things out, returning from injuries. I don't know why. I mean, I guess I know why. Why am I even kidding myself with the way fans are in general? But like, we signed up for the Jim Harbaugh experience, and to completely change a culture and eradicate everything that was bad about the Chargers before, I think give him some grace. Yes, I did just pick them to lose 3 days ago, and was right about that. But they I think will get there. unfortunately, everybody's taken a crowbar to the kneecap, I feel like, this year. And so that team is trying to get themselves back.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we are 20 minutes in, so I have to give a shout out before we start our preview to our friends over at PrizePicks. This episode of the Guilty as Charged podcast is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. We've talked about this before, but PrizePicks does a great job of constantly adding new features, and their latest feature is the Stacks feature, meaning you can pick the same player on up to 3 different statistical categories and put him all in your lineup. So if you're all in on Justin Herbert this week, rushing yards, passing touchdowns, overall passing yards, whatever the case may be, you can put him into your lineup in 3 different situations. Same thing for receivers, running backs, whoever you want. You can stack those players at one day. So if you think Justin Jefferson is going to go off this week against the Chargers, by all means, put that energy into PrizePicks. You can also follow other PrizePicks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one simple click. Whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like, hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on PrizePicks. Best way to do this is go over to the PrizePicks app, or download the app, I should say. Use the code GUILTY to get $50 in lineups after you pay your first $5 lineup. Again, that is code GUILTY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, let's dive into our Week 8 preview. As Tyler says, please don't lose to Carson Wentz, who is going to start this week, according to Kevin O'Connell. So it will not be a JJ McCarthy, not revenge game, but reunion game, I guess, vibes game. I don't know. Point is, it's going to be Carson Wentz and not JJ McCarthy this week.
I'm going to effing crash out with Alex if they lose to Carson Wentz. They absolutely, like, I know it's Justin Jefferson, right? And I already said in the last show, it's more Jefferson and Addison and Hawkinson and O'Connell. If they lose to Carson Wentz, man, I swear to God, I can't handle it. If they get shredded by Carson Wentz, I can't do it.
Yeah, more on that later, I think. So let's do a check-in with the Minnesota Vikings really quickly. The good obviously starts with Brian Flores, who, again, more on him later. The defense is 4th in EPA per play and 5th in success rate. They're able to stay ahead of, or above water, I should say, because of this defense. Jonathan Grenard is leading the charge, on pace for 74 pressures this season. And Isaiah Rodgers, who they invested a decent amount of money in as the cornerback 2 opposite of Byron Murphy, is having a career turnaround. Mentioned Carson Wentz. It's not been great, but he still is in 16th in adjusted EPA per play and 12th in success rate. To me, that's a Kevin O'Connell stat, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And Justin Jefferson is still 5th in the NFL in receiving yards and 8th in yards per route run, despite the shaky quarterback play.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson is awesome. No surprise. Everyone knew where that ball was going to go last week against Rodgers. Or not Rodgers, excuse me. Never mind. Wrong play. Anyway, Jefferson's great. Carson Wentz. I've strangely watched a lot of Carson Wentz against the Steelers in particular. Woke up for that one. Why? I have no idea. But there was PrizePicks on the line. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Surprisingly has been fine. Like this is honestly, I joke about it, and Alex probably jokes. Okay, I know I can't even say that, Alex. Sorry, I can't even bring that comment on, man. Even I will draw the line somewhere. He's been playing fine, and again, it is probably an O'Connell stat, but after the very obvious, well, he's going to give you an interception first couple games. Watching him recently, he did settle in and look okay. And then Brian Flores' defense, I think a lot of Chargers fans are going, well, let's see, we have Herbert, we have Keenan Allen, and therefore it'll look like the last time. And my counterpoint is Corey Linsley's not playing in this game.
Rashawn Slater's not playing in
this game. Arguably, even Kellen Moore is not coordinating this game for the Chargers. So
they had an awesome plan that day against the Vikings in general.
Yeah, and I genuinely wish we had seen that offense continue. Who knows? It could have been a Kellen Moore, Jim Harbaugh. No, probably not. Still been Greg Roman. But I wish we had seen more of that. Unfortunately, the wheels fell off that game for the Chargers. So I think everyone's hoping this ends up being a good performance for Herbert. It might be, but it's just not going to be the same as last time, I don't think. This defense is playing well. I believe before, too, against the Vikings, and someone could correct me if I'm wrong and go back, that defense was still trying to get itself figured out and was more just like, hey, we rush a lot and we blitz like crazy for better or worse, but we don't have it really figured out in the back end and in the secondary. This group's a lot better than they have been in previous years, at least since the last time they played.
That was 2023, right?
Yes.
It was like week 4.
Wait. Yes. We covered that game on the Chargers. I don't remember that game at all.
It was week 3.
Yeah, it was week 3.
Okay. So that defense, their leading pressure getter was Andre Carter, an undrafted free agent from Army. Harrison Phillips was still on that roster. He's a New York Jet. DJ Wanham was their second leading pressure getter. He's in Carolina, I want to say, and is like a backup. So yeah, it looks a lot different right now. Were they doing Jerry Tillery? Was he on that season?
Yes. No, yes.
That was the year. That might have been the year prior. He's not on the.
No, because I think Tillery had the revenge game that year.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Tillery was on the Raiders at that point. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So this defensive roster, they've put a lot of resources into it. Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave are up in the middle of the defense now. Obviously, you have oh my goodness, what's his name? The linebacker with the long hair, the white linebacker.
Oh, that doesn't help me at all. I could have told you Ivan Pace, but that's not him.
No, he like rushes the passer too a
Ginkel?
little bit. Yeah, Van Ginkel. There we go. I got there eventually. The defense is overall a lot different. Obviously, Jonathan Grenard was another big free agency addition as well. So the talent overall on this defense is a lot better than what it was in 2023 for the Vikings.
Definitely. So they are not a great team yet. I think they want to figure out their quarterback situation. I don't know if McCarthy takes them there, but I mean, I'll be honest. Like if Kirk Cousins or Sam Darnold were still a quarterback right now, I'd pick the Chargers to lose on Thursday.
Yeah, I would as well, especially this version of Sam Darnold, where he's playing really pretty.
Oh, there's my smoke alarm. Cool. I guess I'll take care of that. Wait, it stopped.
All right.
If I pass out, I live in Irvine, so call my wife or something.
There you go. The bad for the Vikings, they invested a lot of resources into their offensive line. Obviously, Christian Darrisaw was coming back from injury, so he did not play to start the season. He's back. It's been a bit of a mixed bag, but yeah, he's obviously better than the alternative. Will Fries is their only lineman who has played all 6 games so far. Every one of them except for Ryan Kelly was out there this week, although there's been some rotating at center behind Ryan Kelly. They've had 2 other guys both play, so I'm confused really kind of what's going on there. You put JJ McCarthy as sort of kind of bench, and I think that's the right way to frame it because Adam Schefter initially, when he got hurt, was like, yeah, he's going to miss 2 games. And then on Monday, he was like, oh, no, I always reported it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks. And here we are. And he's still not playing this week. So I don't know, man. It's a little fishy around JJ McCarthy right now.
Yeah, the reporting has been very strange. And I think if he had that first game where really nothing was happening, then a great fourth quarter, everyone's like, oh, there's the future. And then he just really wasn't great after that. If he had multiple games of being pretty good, or at least being that good in the fourth quarter, different conversation. But because of how things sort of ended en route to that injury as well, he is kind of benched. It's odd, but things are working fine enough with Carson Wentz. They're not undefeated by any means, but they are. It's just a kind of mystery box. Like maybe McCarthy could be top 10 with O'Connell and Jefferson, but would you gamble on that versus maybe being 25th? Or do you take 14th to 16th like Wentz is right now? See what you got.
Yeah, I think it's so funny because their coach, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, comes from such an analytics-heavy background. But he's been kind of an FM picks guy. And their draft success over the last few years has not been very good. But they have aced absolutely every free agency decision. We'll see about Ryan Kelly, how that turns out. Obviously, tough to prepare for back-to-back concussions like that and hope he's okay. But Their free agency decisions have all hit. Sam Darnold, massive success. Obviously, Jonathan Grenard, who we talked about, Byron Murphy, all these guys who we talked about are all free agency decisions. Their draft has been kind of a mess. So they're in a weird spot where they decided to go all in on the rookie contract quarterback, and now it's not really working out. So it's going to be interesting to see from a casual fan experience if JJ McCarthy doesn't give them what they were hoping for this season. Do they move on? Do they go back to the kind of the veteran quarterback situation or what? So it's just an interesting team. The defense, while playing great, has had some, and I say some, it's been noticeable, but not like a huge change. But they're not getting nearly as amount of sacks, quarterback knockdowns, and takeaways as they were last season. So the takeaway percentage last year was at 1.9%. This year it's 1.1%. So again, not a huge change, but you're talking about almost 2 turnovers per game to basically 1 per game. That's a big difference. Their sack percentage last year was almost 11%. This year it's 8%. So still good, but not necessarily like elite like it was last year. Again, a lot can change there going forward, but they have had some kind of regression in that regard. And I was on with Matthew Collar earlier today, who does a great job covering the Vikings for Blue Wire on the Purple Insider. They spent a significantly greater amount of time this season trailing than they did last season, where last season they were really able to get Aaron Jones in the run game going. Then this year, Mason has been good, but not the usual Kevin O'Connell kind of running back numbers, because they are just throwing the football a lot more often. You mentioned the week 1 game where they were trailing like the whole game against the Bears, against the Steelers. They were trailing a lot. They were trailing a lot against the Browns. Like, they have been trailing way more often. So the game scripts have not been as positive, which I think is a big reason why the rushing numbers for them are like fine, but not Kevin O'Connell levels of good.
Yeah, definitely. That's why so when I talked about the second half games, when I've been doing PrizePicks the mores, I've just been spamming the TJ Hawkinson more and the Carson Wentz more and the Jordan Addison more on PrizePicks, because in the second half, they are always generally trailing or need to score. So I'm very aware of this Vikings team trailing, because it's been actually very beneficial to me on PrizePicks.
Yeah, which is good. That's some good emotional hedging for you.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our preview. The Chargers thankfully dropped this injury report literally 2 minutes before we hopped on here, so we had to jump in and talk about it. The biggest news possible here is that Joe Alt told reporters about 15 minutes before we got on here that the plan is for him to play on Thursday night, which is obviously great overall for the team. Him playing left tackle is fantastic. It's also great because Austin Deculus, the backup left tackle, is also dealing with an injury and has not practiced in a full capacity just quite yet. Trey Pipkins practiced today, which is great, but he is unlikely to play this week. So getting Joe Alt back, as I'm not breaking any news here, he's one of the best left tackles in the league. Getting Joe Alt back is absolutely massive for the Chargers' chances to win this week and going forward in some very necessary winning games in the next 4 weeks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the loss you felt when Slater went down, it's like, whoa, the ceiling completely changes. It dropped again with Joe Alt. And so now you're feeling that come back with this offense, just knowing which side is taken care of and which side maybe needs some help. Whereas before it's, y'all need help, good luck, send in everybody and just say a prayer and see if it works. Joe Alt being out there, do I expect a great performance? I don't know. He's still trying to work back. It is very early. I'm sure he's not going to be 100% of what he is, but Joe Alt returning, if he's out there and can play the majority of the game, that changes my pick for how the Chargers are going to the outcome of this game. Not that the Vikings have themselves an elite set of edge rushers as they've seen recently, but I feel much better with Joe Alt out there.
Yeah, I tweeted this out earlier, but Joe Alt in the first 3 games had a pass blocking efficiency rating of 98.4. And since he got injured, this is going to be a little mean, but Austin Deculus had a pass blocking efficiency rating of 92.2. So that's it's a pretty significant drop off. And again, Austin Deculus, it's not his fault that he's being asked to play like Joe Alt in half of the games that he is playing. So it changes your calculus, man. And I still think you should absolutely protect your right tackle, whoever that is, whether that is Deculus or Bobby Hart. Still should have 6 blockers out there against this, pass rush plan. But if you don't have to worry about the left tackle, it just changes everything. And Joel run game as well. So people in the chat are saying don't want him rush back, everything like that. I get that. I shared this in the Discord, but I was told that he was pushing to play last week after being a limited participant in practice, that he really wanted to get back out there, be out there for his team, obviously protect Justin Herbert. And he is somebody that really values, playing through injury and being out there for his team and playing as many games as possible. We saw that last year where he got, dinged up a couple of times and did miss a game and played through a couple other things late in the season. So I expect him to play. And the fact that he also expects to play, I think is obviously a really good sign. And I think that the mini bye will help him get back to 100%. And next week he'll look, like his usual self.
Yeah, I think so too. So thank goodness, I think maybe if this is a short week and a flight, perhaps things could change. But if
this were an away game, he's not playing.
Yeah, it's crazy, but this is the first set of back-to-back games the Chargers have played at home all year. We're in week 8 at this point. So it's nice that they have this. They're aware. Yeah, I'm sure he's been working on things, getting treatment round the clock so he can be ready. And I think he will be.
Yeah. Jamari Sawyer, full participant in practice. Again, the Chargers are not like scrimmaging by any means, but Sawyer was an emergency player, according to Greg Roman last week. Well, they felt like he could play if necessary. Otherwise, they were going to go with Foster Sorrell. So the fact that he is fully healthy and Austin Deculus is not healthy, obviously it would be great to have both of those guys out there as insurance. Yeah. But Jamari Sawyer, I still think could be a valuable backup for this team going forward, and having him full is a great thing for this team.
Yeah, if anything, at least answers the question you seem to have every game, which is who's the next guy? I don't know. So at least you kind of are aware of a player that can be out there and help you, for better or worse.
Yeah. Elijah Molden and Troy Dye, we'll see about them. Still limited participant in practice for those two. They're dealing with like minor injuries, obviously the thumb, but that's how you wrap up and you tackle. So, it is important to have your thumb healthy. Obviously players can play with clubs and stuff, but and then Hassan Haskins, which it's not like a huge, maybe it doesn't impact the point spread, but Hassan Haskins is doubtful according to Jim Harbaugh. He has not practiced with a hamstring injury. He is their best pass protecting back right now and is a core 4 special teams player. So even if he's not carrying the football or catching the football a lot, this is potentially a pretty significant loss for them if he can't play on Thursday, as Harbaugh says.
Yeah, I know people don't love Haskins, the runner and all that, but there's other aspects of the game he does help with. So the Chargers now have 4 running backs on their practice squad with Kamani Vidal, and then they'll have Naheem Hines, who is still on the practice squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they don't need to rush him. They can still elevate him, but that's, I'm sure, going to change very soon. So yeah, bummer about Haskins. I know he's not a great running option for them. It's kind of exciting from an offensive perspective. I think Hines, yes, the fumbles are concerning from the preseason, but there's just more juice. There's something more interesting there. At minimum, we've seen it on kickoff return. So blessing in disguise, perhaps.
Yeah, I think this is probably a game where Amar Johnson gets elevated from the practice squad. So they signed Travion Williams, who is basically just like Naeem Hines, like size profile, and he's a returner, not really much else. And then Jarrett Patterson is on the practice squad. So they got to have somebody who can run between the tackles at least a few times. So I don't know, man. This is probably, I have no take on Amar Johnson, but I would assume that he gets elevated this week.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, all he has to do is just be slightly better than Rocket Sanders for 2 carries, and we can finally drop that once and for all.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Our audio audience is going to take a quick break, and then we will be right back after this. Okay. Every week we talk about coaching storylines that we're following. We cover a variety of topics in this segment. Obviously, a lot of it is scheme related. Sometimes it's personnel related. Tyler, what is your coaching storyline of the week?
Yeah, this team plays football like they kind of hate it right now. And to be fair, I don't blame like a Justin Herbert, for example, but this group, offense, defense, everybody just looks like they are scared. They look like they are waiting for things to happen. They are not enforcers. What happened to the defense against the Bengals? I know they allowed, things to the Bengals to come back in that game. But what happened? I feel like they were punching Jamar Chase in the face. They were getting physical. They were trying different things. Where did that go? At minimum,
back to like the Raiders game. The
yeah, right.
Yeah.
This very season, what happened to that group? And look, it's a Thursday game. Yeah, you're at home. Nothing's changing. I'm not going to sit here and go, whoa, they're suddenly going to figure out pass protection and Dan Henley's suddenly going to start playing well. I don't see, I hope for that. And it will be things that we'll keep an eye on, but it's not going to change by Thursday. It's not suddenly going to change. So press the buttons, do the things that's just, can you be team fun? They blitzed 18 times last week, or at least they had 18 non-defensive linemen rush. Last week, I believe, was 11 against the Dolphins, and I think 15 the week before that. Does that continue to go up? Do you say, screw it? Look, this sucks. What's the worst that can happen? We give up 38 points. We give up, 8 drives and 38 points. What's the worst that can happen? It's not working for whatever we're doing right now. Crank it up. Be team fun. Do something else. On offense, oh my God, can we do anything else than the 4 plays that we've called this entire year? At this point, like if you give Darius Davis a rush, fine. It's not going to work. It never seems to. Do something interesting. Can we get Justin Herbert, this great rushing quarterback, the opportunity to run the football? Because every time he does, that sideline goes bananas. Be team fun. Run some different things. Try different things. You're not going to do anything. You're not going to learn anything new. You're not going to install anything new. Whatever you got, just fun buttons. Whatever it is, give it a whirl because nothing's working. You can't pass. Herbert is the most hit quarterback in the NFL by 20-something hits.
Like
is down here, Papa. It's ridiculous. Your rushing attack stinks. You can't block. Now you have Joe Alt back at least. You can't stop the pass. You can't stop play action. You can't stop the run. So just let it loose. Have some fun. Your season might go down in the toilet if you lose this game. And you might still lose this game no matter what. But cut loose. That I just want to see which coach, whether it's Harbaugh, Minter, Pickett, I don't care. Throw some life into this squad. Yeah. Fake a punt return. I don't know what gets the group going because I watched them against the Colts and people just clocked out. It was business decision by about the mid-third quarter on, unless your name was Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I think that's really fair. I think, the first couple of drives, you could see some things, when they had that potential like 4th down stop, I felt like, man, like this, okay, like this could get this team going. And then they overturned it. And it was just like, okay, here we go again. All right, we have to stop the run. Like it just felt like they were so gassed out there on Sunday. So I think, that's a big reason for me why I think Dayon and Derwin have just not been playing well is that there's just not a lot of juice between those two. And those are they're the two guys who are the juice guys. And I feel like the defense in particular is missing the energy. Mm-hmm. They're missing a spark right now. And so hopefully, Carson Wentz is prone to throw the football away to the other team. Maybe that can get the defense going. You have another thing on that particular topic later. Mm-hmm. But I think this team just needs to, have some more energy out there. And it's a simple thing, but sometimes they'll make a big play and there's not really a lot of celebrating going on. Like I look back at, in the Chiefs game, Quentin Johnson has a turnover or not a turnover, obviously not a turnover, a touchdown, and everybody's running down to Quentin and everybody's dancing, having a good time. And, this week, Aranda Gadsden has a huge play, 50-yard gain. And Quentin goes down there and like high fives him. And then everybody else is kind of just like, all right, here we go. Like, let's get down to the play. And, Gadsden scores a touchdown and like Ladd celebrated with him. And there was not really much else going on with that. So I think just, it sounds simple, but like more celebrating, I think is always a good thing. And hopefully that can help, inject some life into this team.
Yeah. I mean, if you watched Braden Fajoko's video when he was talking about the Jags loss, which honestly just pause it before he gets to the Jags loss, but he talks about the Dolphins game and how there was a point in the season where some guys, they were, 500 team, there were injuries. Here come the Dolphins, who at the time were pretty like offensive juggernaut or pretty strong offensively.
Yeah, they were like top 3 in the AFC at that time too.
Right. And so it was like, okay, here we go. And it was up to some teams, some members of the team to go, look, this might be it. So we're going to leave it all out on the field for better or worse. Let's just go have some fun, do the best we can. And that game from the Alohi Gilman pass breakup on was just them like finding that spark and finding that belief and being on prime time. And the world is watching, and they just couldn't be stopped that game. They were awesome that game, even though they really had no right to be. So where is that? Is that a player? Is that one significant play call? Is that a great return? I don't know. But this Chargers team needs that momentum. They just need that momentum again. Maybe it's early. Maybe it's in the second quarter. I don't know. They just need something. Change the tendency. Go for it on fourth down if you need to when it's appropriate. All those things. Be team fun.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. In terms of the coaching storyline, the Vikings defense is great against the pass. Even if they are, regressing a little bit when it comes to, sack and knockdown percentage. But they're a little below average against the run. They're 23rd in overall EPA per rush allowed. They're 18th in rushing success rate. They do a pretty good job on first down. Actually, they're like top 10 in success rate on first down. But on second down and third downs, they're giving up a lot of explosive runs here this season. And that's a big reason why they're trailing a lot more this year. It's a big reason why they are throwing the football a lot more, why the sacks are down. So teams have had some success running the football against them this week. Does that matter? I don't really know, given the state of affairs. If this were an Omarion Hampton game, I would feel really good about this. This opportunity to feed Omarion would be a great play. Obviously, Joe Alt back does help them quite a bit. I think this could be a potentially good Kamani Vidal game. The one thing I will say here, and this is maybe potentially more of a passing game thing, but when it comes, I love Sumer Sports, by the way. Sumer Sports has a ton of great info if you're not on there. But Sumer Sports breaks down defensive personnel, offensive personnel. Against 12 personnel, which is the 2 tight ends, the Vikings defense is actually 31st in EPA per play. And the Chargers tight end room is not elite. It's not obviously the prime, Patriots out here. But Tucker Fisk will kick your ass in the run game. And Aronde Gatson just had the best day of any rookie tight end ever. So I think this could be a bit of the recipe for success this week for the Chargers is let's get into 2 tight end sets a little bit more. Let's, pound the rock with Tucker Fisk out there and keep Tucker Fisk in for pass protection, obviously. And then maybe we go play action a little bit more this week. Let's get Aronde Gatson over the middle. Let's get him, working the corner routes that he loves. So if there is a world where the Chargers are able to have a really efficient offensive game, I think it's with the 2 tight end sets. And I think it's with Kamani, maybe not having the Miami game where it's over 100 yards, but can he give you 70 yards rushing and just keep the Vikings defense honest? I think is a huge thing this week. Helps you stay ahead of the chains, get away from the third and obvious passing down situations where even with Alt back, your offensive line is going to struggle against this pass rush unit, I should say. So get the run game going a little bit, 2 tight end sets. I think that's the recipe for success for the Chargers offense this week.
And can we stop running Vidal up the middle after a great week where that was not the case? They ran it outside, so off tackle or outside of the tight end, 16 times against the Dolphins. Now, there's some game script there, but I'm willing to bet that rate is higher than it was this past week against the Colts. They ran it outside 3 times in this game after watching what they did against the Dolphins. And I know it's the Dolphins, but I'm not even talking about the efficiency or the yards per attempt, which were higher, just pure frequency. 16 times against the Dolphins looked pretty good. Vidal generally has looked good. No, this week, straight up the middle, go find DeForest Buckner, Bradley Bozeman. You got this, buddy. You go block and lead the way for everybody here. And it didn't work. So maybe just consider with the tight ends you have and with this Joe Alt guy, putting Trey Harris out there to help on tosses and whatnot or whatever it is, get it outside a little bit. 16 times the first week, or first with Vidal. Hey, look pretty good. Let's just run it up the middle, man. That's fine. Let's run it up the middle. Let's do it. Yeah. No, thank you. Outside, please.
Yeah, especially if your two main running backs this week are Vidal and Naeem Hines. Do not run up the middle.
Yeah. Najee Harris, you can go up the middle just fine. He would look great in that role. Vidal and Naeem Hines, who's basically still trying to return from football to football. Yeah, we don't have to literally pound the rock. Like we can just run it outside.
Yeah. Get some jet sweeps going, like you mentioned with Davis, QJ, Hines. I think is the way to go this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know, throw it to Trey Harris.
Throw it to Trey Harris. Yeah. All right. What are we excited to watch this week? I think for me, it's Tier Tart and Jamari Caldwell, who was just added to it. The injury report with an illness.
Speaking of team fun, yeah.
Maybe not him, but I wanted to highlight these two because a lot of fans have been looking at the run defense and be like, well, the defensive line's not doing their jobs. I beg to differ. There's one defensive lineman who has struggled against the run. But I thought Tier Tart and Jamari Caldwell were really disruptive against the rushing lanes of the Indianapolis Colts last week. I thought there was a significant difference when those two were on the field against the run of the Colts and when they were off the field. There were at least two of Jonathan Taylor's big touchdowns were when it was Naquan Jones and Justin Eboigbe out there. And that's a problem. I think Tart and Caldwell are playing the run so well, and when they're out there together, they can play both roles. Each of them can play the nose, each of them can play a 3-tech, each of them can play a 4-eye. It's really, really great to see that kind of flexibility come to fruition. And I think Tier Tart is just like really, really good, you guys. And he's in kind of a zone. The Chargers are trying to keep him around 30 snaps a game, and I think that's fair given they want to maximize their skill set there. But I loved how on the first drive, he got trapped and he took a bit of a bad angle. And then later in the second quarter, when they did it again, he was like, fuck this. And just went and tackled Jonathan Taylor, made an insane play. So the penalties are a little crazy for Tier Tart, but I think he's playing at such a high level right now. And Caldwell is right there with him. And I think what's so encouraging about Caldwell is he's like not even really in NFL shape right now. Like he has such a different body type than these other defensive tackles, but he's so agile. His ability to stack and shed is really, really good. These two on the defense, I think, are playing the best of any pair of players, whether it's like a pair of edge rushers, pair of linebackers, safeties, corners. I think Tier Tart and Jamari Caldwell are all both playing really, really well. This week, there's no Ryan Kelly. I have no idea who's playing center. They're rotating between Jake Brindell and Cam Jurgens' brother, who I forget his name. It's a backup center, and it's not going particularly well. The Jurgens, if he's the one, he has the worst run blocking grade of any center over the last month of the season. So if there's a way where the Chargers can stop the run consistently and get after Carson Wentz, I think it's with these two, and I think it could be a big game for number 90 and number 99.
Yeah, Caldwell's been fantastic, and Tart has been team fun. Do I like the personal foul of slapping somebody in the face potentially? No, but at the same time, I don't know. I kind of dig it when you slap.
Fuck Travis Kelce.
Yeah, there's no one on the Vikings that I think I dislike like the Chiefs. So maybe not this team. Please don't do it on 3rd and 15 for whatever reason. But like that, or that play as you mentioned, I think Nate Tice was the one who had posted the play and a bit of a breakdown of here's what it was the first quarter, and here it was the next time they tried it. And Tart was just that guy. He has 1 to 2 spark plays per game that just get them going. And I think, timeout. It didn't work last week. It didn't get them going. But I think it at least gets me on my couch at home going because it's exciting. It's something that's disruptive. So Tart and Caldwell versus, right now the worst part of their offensive line is a really good call there.
Yeah. And even if it's not just the center, Donovan Jackson and Will Fries, like they're good in pass protection. They're not exactly like mauling run stuffing types. And the other thing I wanted to point out, in the first few games with Ryan Kelly, the Vikings were actively trying to run more of a gap scheme. I think that was one of the main reasons why they wanted Ryan Kelly out there. Since he got injured, they're back to a lot of the wide zone stuff. And I think the teams who have exposed the Chargers' weaknesses in the run, it's a lot more, counter, pin and pull. Let's get bodies, getting out to the perimeter. Let's create these different kind of alleys and things like that. And the Vikings can run that, but they've been running way more outside zone the last few weeks. And I think that plays to the Chargers' advantage with Tart and Caldwell in particular, who can disrupt things a little bit more frequently when they're not getting double teamed, they're not getting pinned. It's just ride the wave and cause some havoc. And I think these two can do that.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was that shift. So good call.
All right, Tyler, you have Justin Jefferson on the screen here, and that is what you're excited to watch, which I think is different than what people might expect.
Yeah, it is not going into what makes me nervous and what's keeping me up at night. Do I think at the Senior Bowl that Benjamin St-Juste is clamping Justin Jefferson? No, I do not believe that's going to happen. But specifically with the way the Chargers have been playing on defense, it's not really a corner issue. It's not really an issue with them. Are they perfect? No, it's an imperfect group. It's not a group that is full of, there's no Derek Stingley and Kamari Lassiter and these guys back there. There's no great tandem of corners. And yet, generally speaking, they played pretty well. And I think even when targeted, they play well. Benjamin St-Juste in particular, an interception, squeezing to the sideline. Dante Jackson's been pretty good, also very good as a tackler as well. Terry Still, Cam Hart, etc. It's not a great group, but they've been playing pretty darn well. I don't know how many passing yards they've allowed as a group at the corners themselves, but generally speaking, I think it's been pretty solid. There's no, hey, J.C. Jackson during that one season for 4 games, like weak link thing. There hasn't been any really glaring Asante Samuel Jr. bad run defense kind of thing. Generally speaking, I think they've been pretty good. Do I think they stopped this wide receiver group with O'Connell? Not necessarily, but I'm excited to see them get tested, which again is probably a really stupid thing to say, knowing how this could go. But I don't know. There was something about the way they played Higgins and Chase and those guys in that initial matchup against the Bengals. I'm sorry, that Cam Hart has no business covering Jamar Chase, but he looked kind of good for the half that he did, and they played pretty well together. And that was with, I believe, Christian Fulton trying to work back. This group is right now healthy in the secondary in terms of the corners. So I don't know. I'm excited to see if this holds up, because if it does, I think that while we can get on Minter for several other reasons, I do think we'd have to give him and Klingsky all the credit that they deserve for, from a pure corner versus receiver perspective, things are good. And also, I don't know, do you change and play more man this week? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I kind of hope you do play more man. I think with the way that the Vikings want to run things, I think you've got to disrupt timing a little bit more. And Justin Jefferson is great in every scheme, right? Like he's an awesome player, but he's 6th in the league in yards against zone with 382. And again, a lot of teams play zone against the Vikings, but that's kind of where he wants to live. He's 30th in the league in yards against man. So again, some of that is how do you play these teams? Some of that is first few weeks they didn't have Jordan Addison, so you can kind of double and shade more coverage towards Justin Jefferson. So I think this is a game where you do want to play a little bit more man. You mentioned the blitz rate. I think this is a game where you want to kind of crank that dial up a little bit more and just disrupt their timing as much as you can. Obviously, you got to stop the run, but in the pass game, I think we've got to start seeing some change up from Jesse Minter. And again, we're trying to give him some grace. We're trying to see what he bounces back. This to me is a game where you want to change things up a bit and throw off the timing of Justin Jefferson and Carson Wentz and all these guys.
Yeah. I mean, it's the meme of like our expectations were low, but what the F or whatever the meme is. Our expectations are low right now, but I think that they can do a couple of things. And I think it starts with this corner group.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. All right, what's keeping us up at night? I'm not going to go too long on this one. We all know what it is. It's Brian Flores. This matchup has terrified me from the jump. When we saw this schedule come out, Greg Roman has historically really, really struggled against Brian Flores, and it's just kind of a bad schematic matchup. Brian Flores is a great defensive coach. So what do you got for us, Greg? If you run what you ran against the Colts, it's not going to go well. So I trust Justin Herbert to take care of the football against the blitz. I trust Keenan Allen and these receivers and the tight ends to win their matchups. But can Greg Roman at least show us a little something. Can you give us a good opening script kind of game? Like this is a really important game for Greg Roman to kind of right the ship a little bit. And can he do it against maybe the best defensive coordinator in the NFL right now?
Yeah, no kidding. Again, we believe Herbert can. I think some of the quick game players that they have can. I TBD on how Quentin Johnson does in a game like this. They targeted him quite a bit against the Colts, but it wasn't like, I don't know. This doesn't strike me as a him kind of game, although he was doing some better things before he got hurt. Herbert has one turnover-worthy play this year against pressure. I'm pretty sure it was this past week, but I could be wrong. It certainly wasn't the first, I think, 5 games of the season where I believe he had 0 despite all the pressure in his face. At the time, I think it was pressured 80 times, 0 turnover-worthy plays. He's got 1 so far. So like you said, I do believe that Herbert will take care of the football. The question is, what are we calling, Greg Roman? What is the plan for this week? Are we doing that quick game stuff that I think benefits a Keenan Allen as they did before, as a Ladd McConkey, maybe even a Rondé Gadsden? Or are we just trying to go back to, well, this is our thing and we're going to stick with it? So yeah, Brian Flores, the defense will be what it is. Could be good, could be bad, could be okay. The offense, if it's just a total train wreck because they have 0 plan for anything for Brian Flores, the game's going to be over by the time the first quarter ends.
Yeah, we were a little critical of Justin Herbert on Sunday for not having his best game, but
Sure.
That film was pretty crazy, man. I'm not going to lie. There were some insane throws on there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, so I've been going on like more, opposing fan podcasts, and all of them ask me like, what do you think of Herbert? To me, I think his superpower, if you will, or one of his superpowers, I should say, is his ability to mitigate mistakes. And people will look at the box score and see last week that he threw 2 interceptions, and the second interception was a bad throw. I will say that for sure.
Yep.
But you'd mentioned the Popper stat where he's been hit 62 times, which is 22 more times than the next closest one, which is Cam Ward. Justin Herbert has 5 turnover-worthy plays this season in total. His turnover-worthy percentage is 1.6, which is 3rd in the league behind Josh Allen, who never gets hit and very rarely gets pressured. And then Kyler Murray, who has played 4 games. So he's doing the usual Justin Herbert stuff. And despite his insane amount of pressures, his pressure to sack percentage is 16.8%. So it's not, when he was at his best, when he was at like 14-15%. But the fact that with this offensive line getting hit this often, he is taking a sack at that level is really crazy to me. So I think he's mitigating mistakes at such a high level. There's still 4 or 5 throws a game that are just not human. So when I watched the game on Sunday, I watched the Keenan Allen toe tap reception, and I'm like, holy shit, that was a great catch from Keenan Allen. But then you see it on tape, and his first reads are to the left. So he goes 1-2 to the left. Nobody's open, pressure. So he kind of resets a little bit. Rockets a pass to Keenan Allen, whole shot, great catch. But it's like the reason why the Chargers have a chance in these games and are not, if they had Jared Goff, the 10th best quarterback right now, these games would be so much worse, let me tell you. But Justin Herbert just gives them such a chance to run things at a higher level. But he shouldn't have to be Superman. And I think you watch the Colts tape, there are so many layups for Daniel Jones. Easy pitches and catches here, easy pitch and catch there. There's 6-man, 7-man protections. There's no pressure. And with Justin Herbert, it's like 1-2. Okay, evade a pressure, make a dart throw against cover 2 where there's nobody open. Okay, evade a pressure. Like, it's so hard. The offense there's no easy buttons. And this week against the Vikings, you got to spam the easy buttons or it's going to be a long day again for your quarterback, even with Joe Alt back.
I can't imagine if they do. If they walk into this game and that's their game plan and they lose this game, I don't know. I mean, we are feelings on Greg Roman or no, but we have to at some point take a stand on the fire Greg Roman train. And if this is the game it ends up being, so be it.
Yeah, I think so. What is keeping you up at night about this one, Tyler?
Keep it short and sweet. The Chargers can't stop a gosh darn thing in the run game, and now Jordan Mason can go for 100 yards. I think he's done that 4 times in his career, maybe 5 times in his career, which isn't a very long career, but still. Are they going to let him run for 100 plus? The answer is probably yes. Everybody use the code GUILTY at PrizePicks.com/guilty. But
Nice.
listen, I did an emotional hedge last week and I hit the more on everything for the Colts. And I went 6 for 6
There you
on
go.
a flex play. Why?
There you go.
Because this Chargers defense can't stop anything. It has a
Yeah.
bit of a reputation of being better. And yet you watch the game against the Colts, not great. Look, Jonathan Taylor, great. Achan, pretty good. All right. Maybe Jordan Mason isn't that. Well, guess what? Bill Krosky-Merritt, I'll respect him. Draft diamond, fan for everybody that was watching the draft and knew him. He torched them. He actually torched the Chargers. Cam Scatterby wasn't exactly running for 150. The efficiency wasn't great, but you watch that game, running all over him, untouched to the end zone. Anyone want to make a $25 bet that Jordan Mason has a untouched red zone rushing touchdown to the left or right sideline this week? Anyone want to make that bet? Because I think I'd win. So what's keeping me up at night it's weird. The passing stuff, I think, just is what it is. Justin Jefferson, Hawkinson, these guys just are who they are.
Yeah.
But if you sit here and you have nothing again, and you're letting the running backs run again all over you, again, respect to Jordan Mason, who has been efficient throughout his career. I mean, come on. You got to be able to stop Jordan Mason here.
Yeah, I think my take on the run defense is that it's not structurally bad. Like I like people in the chat and online, the scheme is so bad, it sucks. Like I hate it. The structure is not bad. They are, and Derwin talked about this yesterday. A lot of their players, including him, are not seeing things well. They're taking themselves out of the play prematurely. And Tarib still had a rep on the first Jonathan Taylor, where he kind of takes a little bit of a step thinking Jonathan Taylor is going to go outside. And then Jonathan Taylor takes one mini cut up, and then Tarib still has no chance to tackle him because he's Jonathan Taylor and because he's Tarib still. It's just like little things like that. The Colts are running a wide zone concept to the right, and Denzel Perryman, instead of going over the blockers, he goes under and takes himself out of the play. Derwin James did that. Deion Henley did that multiple times, where Deion is the weak side linebacker and he's going way too far to the middle because of emotion. Colts go outside, boom, big play for Jonathan Taylor. So it's the little things. It's not the structure. It's not the defensive line, although I think Eboigbe does struggle against the run. He has some good moments, but overall it's not his thing right now. I think Khalil Mack coming back will help things, obviously, and he says that he's going to be full go this week. So I'm cautiously optimistic that eventually, maybe not this game, because maybe they're not all the way back, but I think they're close enough to at least get back to average, is what I'm saying from watching the tape. Like they're not, it's mostly just like bad decisions on the field in the heat of the game, which can happen. I still believe they have the personnel to do it, and I still believe they have the coach to do it. So if this is a 75-yard run game for Jordan Mason, is that going to be awesome? No, but that will be a step in the right direction. And maybe, this mini bye coming up allows the players to kind of get back to it a little bit. So the tape was not fun, but I'm cautiously optimistic that they can correct some of their mistakes and turn this thing around from a run defense standpoint.
I hope so, because all the players, generally speaking, that are there that help them be good against the run, then they have been good against the run. They're all there. So if you suddenly get the turnaround game, Dan Henley licks a frog and has the flu or whatever, like you never know. Suddenly
send him back to Brazil tonight.
Exactly.
Eat some food and come back.
Yes, I will personally get on a private jet that Spanos will send me on. I will fly to Brazil to get any food Dan Henley wants. I'll bring the water back with me, you name it. I will fly it back to him and we will rock. Okay. Mekhi Becton, you get some because that helped you. Henley, you get some. Caldwell, whatever you had for dinner, save it for us. Throw it in the fridge. Let's go for it, man. They can turn it around in one game. Will I buy that it's a turnaround in one game? No, because it's like not great rushing attack here. But like you said, a step in the right direction is possible.
Yeah, and that's all I want, honestly. Like I'm not expecting, without Deshaun Hand, Otito Ogbonnia, which we didn't really talk about, a place on injury reserve today. They're very shorthanded in the defensive tackle room, especially if Jamari Caldwell cannot play tomorrow.
They're not shorthanded. They have Scott Matlock.
Scott Matlock defending the run after not doing it for 7 weeks when he was already bad at it previously is not going to be fun. That will not be productive for anybody. Just elevate Tari Edwards, man. Like I'm not even joking. He will be a better run defender right now than Scott Matlock is.
Yeah.
Tough.
You know that Scott Matlock is going to have one play that Chargers not social media, but like some of the really buzzy fans are going to run with for 5 weeks.
Probably.
It'll happen.
Yeah. He was like their worst defensive tackle in the preseason, though. So, like, please, no, thank you. All right. X Factors of the week. Who you got, Tyler?
Give me the Jordan Mason fumbles. And good golly, for those who don't know how often Jordan Mason fumbles, I got a stat for you. Jordan Mason fumbles once every 47 attempts the last 2 years as a starter. He has 5 in whatever it was, some number of attempts. For reference, and I love numbers like this, Melvin Gordon fumbled once every 58 attempts, which means that Jordan Mason fumbles more often than Melvin Gordon, which means you better get a fumble off of Jordan Mason this week. Perhaps it's at the goal line. I don't know. But look, it's an X factor thing. And when I saw that rate, especially compared to Melvin Gordon's, because we all are very aware of how often he would fumble throughout his career, steal one. Go get one from Jordan Mason. I wish this was a PrizePicks thing because it'd be fun to go with the moron. He did not fumble last game, which means it's possible that he fumbles this one. So please, if nothing else, even if you let him run for 99 yards untouched, try to get him to fumble to get some momentum back to your group.
Yeah, that would be great. This could be a potential big turnover game for the Chargers.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens there. With Wentz potentially giving you some opportunities to get some interceptions, Mason the fumbles. Just kind of a hilarious time to bring this up after Melvin Gordon just retired as a Charger on Saturday.
That's their fault for doing that in the middle of the season. All right.
It's a little out of control, guys. Isaac Rochelle and Melvin Gordon. I don't know. It's a little out of control.
Yeah, Jared Gaither. So yeah. JC Jackson retires a Charger.
Do we think JC Jackson is even welcome in the building again?
I mean, it's possible given that there's some turnover of the front office and the regime, but he will never join this team. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no. My X factor is whoever is going up against Isaiah Rodgers. You mentioned his career turnaround. It's been very feast or famine for him. So obviously he's the guy who has had multiple touchdowns, taken back, fumble recovery for a touchdown and a pick six. He's got a good amount of tackles, everything like that. So he plays mostly outside. He'll play a little bit in the box, a little bit in the slot. He's kind of your stereotypical, Brian Flores, cornerbacks, nickelback kind of guy. He has allowed 3 receptions over 50 yards. And this last week, 2 of them to the Eagles. So maybe this is an Eagles thing more than an Isaiah Rodgers thing. But Isaiah Rodgers is going to take some chances. He's going to go for the punch out. He's going to try and get an interception. He's going to try and get a pass breakup. He's also going to be a little susceptible to double moves, big plays, stuff like that. He's not great in contested catch situations from the numbers from what I saw. So is this a Quentin Johnston thing? Is this a Trey Harris thing? Is this a Ladd McConkey thing? I don't really know. But similarly to Mason and Wentz, Rodgers is going to give you some chances to make big plays. He's also going to try and make some big plays himself. So I think it's just a very interesting chess match of whoever is going up against him, potentially swinging this game one way or the other, which is kind of the point of an X factor.
I could not believe at the end of that Eagles game with A.J. Brown one-on-one on the outside that they thought there was going anywhere else but vertically to A.J. Brown, and yet he completely bit so bad on the double move on the outside. So
yeah,
we've seen Quentin Johnston do that. So it is definitely something he can do. I think Trey Harris could. A lot of these players could do it. So yeah, I think that's a great call there because I was surprised after hearing as much about Rodgers as I had to go look at that game, and I don't think he was having too much of an issue throughout the game. But that one play was so eye-opening that you could feel that there was an opportunity maybe for the Chargers this week.
Yeah, I think so. Some big plays on either way would be great for this team, like you mentioned. Team
Mhm.
All right, game picks. I fully had a loss on this tab until Joe Alton came out and said that he plans to return. I really think that is that big of a swing. I trust them just a smidge more against the Vikings pass rush and blitz opportunities with Joe Alt out there. I still would like to see Tucker Fisk camped next to whoever is right tackle and just six-man protect every single game. So after watching the tape, it was not great of the Colts game, but I'm a little cautiously optimistic they can rebound this week, especially on like the way that Khalil Mack and Derwin James were talking about this yesterday. I think they, I think they're very upset about the way things have gone, and rightfully so. It has not looked good. So I'm a little cautiously optimistic about the defense. Alt being back makes me a little bit more optimistic about the offense. So I'm going to say Chargers win 26-23. Very close game here between these two teams. Maybe next week Trey Pipkins comes back and things can kind of get more into the right direction. But I think the Chargers can do just enough to win on Thursday night.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, the way Khalil Mack spoke, he said, well, it's, there's doctors and whatnot, but I hope everyone's pretty clear about what my plan is, like what I'm going to do, which is basically I will have to die on the field for you to take me off. So, which is good because I think not dying on the field, but the mentality and the message to the rest of the defense, like, okay, so that sucked. And I'm officially back now. So we're going to handle business this week. And if you're not on board, walk home, go somewhere else. Like I just come back from an injury at my age, 32, 33 season. I'm going to be out there for better or worse. So who's with me? And again, Khalil Mack once again, at that point, I believe in that Dolphins game years ago. No, was that him? 2022? No, he wasn't there. Never mind.
He would have been on the team. I think he was injured that game though.
Oh, anyway, he was taking the team out to dinners. He was the guy that was kind of leading the way and helping their turnaround that season. Yeah, it was that season, right? Because I remember now.
I think he was just injured that week because it was I remember a lot of Chris Rumpf reps that day, and it was not great.
I don't. So he could have played 100 reps. He probably would. Honestly, he probably was good that game. Sorry, no, I don't mean to shade Chris Rumpf on a show years later. Anyway, I agree with you with everything. I believe it'll be a bit more low scoring. As far as I'm aware, the Vikings heading into last week, at least, were with the Chargers pretty close by in terms of not going for it when they should and being a bit more conservative. So I think that might lead to a bit more of a low scoring game. It is Carson Wentz. I think there's going to be some good football on offense and then some really ugly football on offense. And I'm hoping the Chargers just come out on top. I think that they win 23-20. I think 2 field goals for the Chargers are a minimum every week because of Jim Harbaugh. It will not be a game where I don't think they have to go for it too often. So it'll be kind of maybe a field goal fest. Just hopefully you can be okay. I think this is really the last game they have to survive. For better or worse, survive and be healthy and get out of here. So you can get that little mini bye, then a couple of games, then an actual bye, and then face, do your best the rest of the season. So I think they can steal this one. I think Carson Wentz can give them one. Was primetime Carson Wentz ever bad like primetime Kirk was for many years?
Carson Wentz, outside of his one good season, is just bad.
Fair enough. Primetime, daytime, UK time, Brazil time, whatever. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm hoping that they at least give the Chargers one. They will. Carson Wentz always gives them one. I'm looking for a Jordan Mason fumble. Someone said Aaron Jones could be coming back. I don't see it. They activated his 21-day return window today, but I just don't see them suddenly like, oh, hey, Aaron Jones is back. Here's 20 carries this game. So I think they'll do enough. They'll survive. Joe Alt makes a difference. Khalil Mack actually being out there makes a difference. I think they'll be fine. I think they will survive, win this game, and feel good about where they're headed.
Yeah, the quote was that he could play as soon as Thursday, but then he was a limited participant in practice this week. So I don't know. Some Vikings people said that they felt like he was optimistic, and others said not so optimistic. So
yeah,
we'll just have to wait and see. If he is back, I can't imagine they'll just come back and give him a full workload right away. That helps their passing game more than their rushing game. because Jordan Mason's not much of a pass catcher. So, that's the thing there. But yeah, so some positive picks here for us. I think if the Chargers are going to make the playoffs in this season, they have to win this game. If they lose this game, it's just going to get that much harder going forward. So this is a very, very important game for that. If you're trying to make the playoffs again, you got to win this game.
Yeah, you definitely do.
All right, we'll get to some super chats and then we'll head out. Aether got us started. Says Stephen Brother Flores defense has been shredded, facing great quarterbacks, including Herbie 3 years ago. Will happen again. Bolts win 31-17. Get back on track. Obviously, I think a Chargers win can happen. I don't think they will get shredded, though. I do not trust Greg Roman and Bradley Bozeman in the same way that I trusted Kellen Moore and Corey Lindsey to get that done.
Yeah, Thursday Night Football is weird. It's going to be some ugly, weird, low-scoring thing potentially. And the Chargers haven't scored. There was 29 was the most they've scored all year, right? Against the Dolphins.
Is that true?
I believe so. The fact that we have to think about it means it's it was.
I know they haven't scored more than two touchdowns in a game since then, or since week 2.
All right, I'll look it up.
I could have sworn did they not score 30 against the Chiefs?
I don't believe they scored 30. 27.
Wow, that's
29 is the most they've scored all year, and that was against the Dolphins, who I think are pretty bad. I don't think there's something going to do that against the Vikings.
Yeah, me neither. Anthony Italiano says Harbaugh is really pissing him off lately.
I think when it's tricky with Harbaugh, he will, as many people are pointing out in the chat too, not just openly trash another player. You have to be Easton Stick in the preseason bad for him to even say, yeah, those guys aren't very good. It took that for Jim Harbaugh to finally say anything remotely negative about one of his players. But I can see how in general Jim Harbaugh would be really irritating to fans when they start losing. Like all the Harbaugh-isms are going to be really grating if the Chargers are bad. Like that's going to be more annoying than anything Brandon Staley could do if they're bad. Now, will he change his tune with they're bad and not do those isms? Perhaps, but he is Jim Harbaugh.
Like the blue collar worker shirts don't really work if you're losing stuff like that.
Here's your lunch pail.
Figuring out. Yeah. So he's never a guy that I'm like. Alex watches all the press conferences because of engagement purposes, but I very rarely watch a Jim Harbaugh press conference because he never actually talks about anything. The sound bites of him like raving about Justin Herbert and Derwin James are fun. Some of the stories every once in a while are cool, but he's just not an interesting person at the podium. So I think people just need to stop listening to them. He's not going to give you what you want. And frankly, like 99% of coaches are not going to say, yeah, man, our center stinks and we all know it. Like that's just not going to happen. Like most coaches at the podium at any level are going to say, yeah, I need to do better. We need to do better. We think he's playing well. Like it's just general coach speak, and Harbaugh just kind of takes it up a notch.
Yeah. I don't know what people expect in terms of that. I don't watch them at all. The only person I would rather definitely not watch more than Harbaugh is unfortunately Herbert.
Herbert is so boring up there.
Love Herbert. Phillip Rivers, he is not. So
I think every single week Herbert has said at a press conference, yeah, the offensive line's really bad over there. I really trust those guys. It's like, he rehearses and he plans and that's what he's gonna say.
Like I don't even know if he's capable of breaking up with somebody. So we'll see. He's just very nice and all that sort of stuff.
And getting hit 62 times, that's part of the job. Is it, Justin? Is it?
It's not war, Justin. It's You're not. It's not war.
Yeah. Steven Saba says that in his opinion, this was always a 3-year build, i.e. the Lions. Hortiz is opting for a more long-term sustained success. If they don't invest more in the interior line next year, then yes, panic is warranted.
Sure, panic is born. Yeah, oh, dude, if we get to June or May, I guess. I don't know. Is it panic if Bradley Bozeman is back? Because for me, it's just kind of funny at that point. Like to be sitting here in week 3 going, yeah, he'll probably be back. If he's back again, it's just funny to me. I would just laugh through the pain.
Laugh through the pain is probably the right way to say that. But I think the Chargers will be a little bit more aggressive in free agency next year, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Rid says, love the show, gents. Thoughts on picking up Jeremy Tillery or Takeo Spikes for more depth? Happy birthday to my girlfriend Craven. Moreed? I don't know. I'm not saying that last part, but happy birthday to your girlfriend.
Yeah, I think he was trying to get you to say something on that one. It's basically a troll. But hey,
I get it.
$20. I'll take it. $20 is totally fine. And yeah, we're not getting political on this show.
No.
We brought up vaccines once in 2020, and good Lord, we heard about it just for stating the facts of what it meant for the team.
Yeah. Shout out Aaron Garcia. I don't know if there's a question here, but appreciate the $9 super chat.
Thank you, Aaron.
Michael Flores says Harbaugh praising the O-line today got me heated. Again, he's going to continue to do that. That is the Jim Harbaugh press conference experience. So I think just don't watch. Let Alex tweet about the important things. It'll be better for your mental health. I promise.
Yeah, I don't watch any of them. When Junior Colson is inevitably cut from this team, potentially as early as next year, I can't wait for everyone to play the Jim Harbaugh Michigan fight song as he walks into the war room after drafting Junior Colson.
Yeah.
When he sang the entire thing in front of everyone.
Yeah. Not great.
Nope.
Caleb Porter, Mike McDaniel for OC, Frank Smith for OL. Hopefully Harbaugh realizes the offense needs more creativity development going into next offseason. I agree with that part. Mike McDaniel it's not happening. And
no, Jim Harbaugh would rather have Joe Biden be his offensive coordinator than Mike McDaniel. It's not happening, guys.
Yeah. I think he's open to the idea of evolving the offense like he did that at Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I think in his ideal world that would come from Greg Roman himself, but yeah, man, Mike McDaniel is as far away possible as a coach that Jim Harbaugh would want to work with, I think.
I can't stand his press conferences. I don't root for the Dolphins. I don't want him over here.
Yeah. It's not been going good the last 2 years over in Miami also.
Yeah, no kidding.
He came back with another one, says, as hard-headed as Harbaugh may be, at some point, even he has to acknowledge when the offensive production is not being maximized and needs a change. I think this generally has been a strength of Jim Harbaugh's. Right now, he's going with what he knows across the board. But at Michigan, he changed things quite a lot. Offensively, defensively, it saved his job after he kind of figured out that he needed a change defensively. Went and got Mike McDonald granted it was from his brother, but it was a drastic change in defense. And so he's changed a lot. I think if he thinks the offense needs to change, I think he will make the change, but that's not going to happen right now.
Yeah. Best we can hope for is that the Ravens blow everything up and Todd Monken becomes available and we just do a Ravens West thing again.
Honestly, I would not be opposed to that with Todd Monken coming over here. Blaze Gaspari says, can we finally admit we are a joke now? Appreciate all that. Huh?
Not joking.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Appreciate all that y'all do in a day in and day out to keep us entertained because this team sure isn't.
Well, thank you for that very nice $50 super chat. That's very, very nice of you. I don't recall a super chat like that from Blaze before, so that's very, very kind of you just to admit that we're a joke right now. I don't think the Chargers are a joke. They haven't done that yet. They're gonna have their moment. Trust me. They're gonna have their moment, but no, I don't think they're a joke. I don't think they're a joke just yet. Give them some time, perhaps.
Yeah, I heard some statistics on the Athletic Football Show today that will make you realize what a joke is, and that is the Las Vegas Raiders offense.
Yeah.
In regards to like EPA per play and total plays ran and yards per play, what the Raiders just did in Kansas City, has not been done since like the 2002 Houston Texans, who were like fresh off their expansion team. And the previous one before that was when the Browns were back in Cleveland as an expansion team. So the Las Vegas Raiders are essentially an expansion team in the first year of the Pete Carroll experience. So that is a joke. What the Chargers are doing is just like, it's a little disappointing. It's not a joke though.
No, it's not. And then to that same point, the press conference that we've been talking about, Chip Kelly goes up and kind of says stuff about Jackson Powers Johnson that wasn't super great after a game he gave up 0 pressures too, which is even funnier. And it's not great. My dad hates Chip Kelly. Like he's like I thought he didn't like Josh McDaniels, but he thinks Chip Kelly's kind of a douche. So
it's kind of his reputation.
It is his reputation, definitely. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, look at obviously the Chargers have their quarterback, so it's easier, but it could look like the Raiders in the year 1 of the Jim Harbaugh. It could have been like, well, they're just trying to do this and figure it out. And then with the way the Raiders look right now, instead, it's been a lot better. So disappointed, totally. But the joke, not yet. Not yet. They will have their moment. I'm a Chargers fan. I'm willing to bet it'll happen at some point, but not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Mr. Dark Chow Chow wants to know about Connor Liu's draft stock. Couldn't tell you, buddy. Go listen to Dane Brugler talk about it. I have no idea about his draft stock right now.
I mean, if it's a torn ACL, so I'm going to assume yes.
Yeah, because he probably won't be able to do like the Senior Bowl, stuff like that. So probably, but couldn't tell you.
He'll be a fifth pick for the Lions and be really good.
Yeah, probably. Oh, that would be crazy. Dre said, who's got it better than us?
Nobody.
And then our last one with Dark Chow Chow says, fine with interior D-line in 1, center in round 2. Yeah, that would work for me. I think that's more than okay right now.
Definitely. The good news is it feels like the first year the Chargers won't actually go after receiver or even tight end that early.
No, I think it's trenches in like the first 5 rounds, honestly.
The true Jim Harbaugh experience begins next year.
Yeah, and honestly, that would make sense.
Fine by me.
Got a couple other ones in here from John. Do you realistically think we could? What is that emoji?
Win?
I don't really know. Win the next 3 games, or is that just crazy?
Yeah, I mean the Vikings I think are winnable. It's basically the Vikings, yes. Can they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers? Can they beat the Vikings? Yeah. So far you and I agree. The Titans, they better. Like we'll bring that super chat back up. They're the joke of the league if they lose to the Titans.
Yeah.
The Vikings, not the Vikings, the Steelers. I don't know. Steven, what's your record when you attend games? About 500?
It's about 500, yeah.
Yeah, because you pick like the decent ones to go to, not just the gimme ones. So
yeah, I try and the first thing I always look for on the schedule is like, are there any holiday weekend games? And that's the Steelers game this year. Are there any games that I'm just like dying to attend? Like I really wanted to go see the Lions play in person. And that game was electric. It was a shootout. Obviously the Chargers lost, but like the Browns game in 2021 was a holiday weekend game and electric. The Chargers won. So I'm about 50%, we'll see what happens. I went to the Cowboys game week 1 when that happened. Chargers lost.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm about 50%.
I always forget that Mike McCoy is the leader of the coach for the Titans.
Yeah, that would ruin my year too for the Chargers.
if Jim Harbaugh loses to Mike McCoy, man, I'll be saying a lot more than fire Greg Roman.
Yeah, Sergio says, so glad this game is on a Thursday. I think the team is glad this game is on a Thursday. I think after listening to Derwin and Cleo, I think they're itching to get back out there, and I think that's the right approach.
Yep.
Dre says, Herbert chose the worst year to start bringing his girlfriend to every game. Yeah, I don't know. They were probably dating in the first 3 games of the season when he was second in MVP odds. So
yeah,
I don't think that matters. Like every player brings their significant other to the games. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. The Commanders game was a bad one to bring my wife to. I'll tell you that. 27-10 was not a real fun game to have a double date at.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. All right, you guys, that is going to do it for us tonight. Appreciate the about 400 of you that stuck around for all of the live show tonight. 15 super chats is always appreciated. We will be back on Thursday night after the game. Hopefully it is a win. Tyler is not going to the game, so it will be right after the game wraps up. We will not have to wait for the drive back to the OC. So a little quick turnaround, 5-10 minutes or so, and we'll be back on the show here. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you then. As always, bolt up.